What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is an exciting day because we are finally gonna be putting the fuel tank back in Jalen's Evo 8. If you guys have watched the previous video, I did clean the tank as much as possible, clean whatever rust that was built inside there. If you guys haven't checked out that video, go ahead and check it out. I'm super pumped, super excited. So we have all the parts that is laid out over here that we need to throw back on the fuel tank. Here is the fuel tank gauge unit over here, the fuel pump assembly with the 255 wall burrow in it. We got these plastic holes that we need to put back on. Here are like some ventilations that this also goes on top of the fuel tank, and we got a brand new OEM Mitsubishi fuel temperature sensor, because the one that was on top of the car was a little bit crusty. You can see how bad that is. I almost forgot to mention that we do have the fuel tank harness that we gotta throw back on top, and I'm gonna go ahead and change this vent hose over here because she's a little bit kind of crusty, and I really don't want to put this back on and then if something goes wrong or there's some sort of leakage that we might have to take the tank out. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and put everything back on the tank, and then we can finally slide this underneath back on the car. So we just put everything back on the fuel tank minus the fuel pump. I really spaced out on this part. I totally forgot about the gasket. I thought that when I bought the fuel pump housing with the 255 wall burrow, it will come with the gasket, but it didn't. And I called all the auto store parts and they don't have it in stock. But if I'm really eager about getting this car started, I don't mind taking mines out of my Evo and slapping the top here. So we're pretty much kind of done at this point. Let's go ahead and just bring this tank by Jalen's Evo 8. Slide this underneath and then make sure that everything kind of goes well. So before we go ahead and put the fuel tank back on, we have to lower the rear subframe. So in the last video I didn't mention what bolts that needs to be taken out and nuts, and I kind of missed 2 bolts on the front of the subframe next to the rear differential. So they took out the strut bolts right here on both of each side. We got 1 bolt right here next to the sway bar, and then we got two bolts over here, 1 nut over here, and I took out a bolt right here that has a bracket that goes on top of the subframe. This is the bolt I forgot to mention on the last video next to the rear differential. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 2 center bolt here on the rear subframe. So we can take about 6 bolts out, leave the nuts maybe, lower it on the rear subframe, slide the tank back in there, and we should be good. So the reason why we have to drop it so low, because this here is the stud for the fuel tank, where the fuel tank lines up and there's a hole, so it kind of goes over. So you have to lower the rear subframe in order to put the tank over this area, and then tighten it, and then put the rear subframe back on. Yep, it's such a pain in the butt. Hon, honey, can you help me out real quick? Alright guys, we got the fuel tank back in, and oh my goodness, that was a pain in the butt. So I had a little struggle trying to put the fuel tank over. You can see right there, look at that clearance. What I had to do is to lower the rear differential down, so there's 19mm bolts on each side, and loosen it down a little bit to get more clearance, and then throw the tank back on top. Yeah, so much fun when you're working on the car underneath. Like what my wife said, would be a lot easier if we have a lift, because working on the ground sometimes are not fun. Woo! Man, my back is sore. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to install the center shaft back. We have to put the center exhaust pipe and muffler back on, and then we can lower the car. So we do have an aftermarket fuel rail that I want to go ahead and switch over from the stock rail. I do also have my old injectors that was in the, I put it in a package to get it all nice and secured. I'm gonna go ahead and swap it over with these injectors, because I'm pretty sure these injectors are clogged up. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that banged up. lower the car and we can start focusing on putting our fuel rail aside, and then hopefully we have enough time to start this car up today. So I just contacted my cousin Herman, so hopefully he does have an extra fuel pump housing gasket. So if he does, we're in luck. If not, we're gonna have to order it. Another step back, but it is what it is, right? Evil's finally officially on the ground now, so everything else is all buttoned up from underneath. Now we can go ahead with the fuel rail that we're gonna be upgrading into. This one is beautiful. Sheesh. Brand new AEM fuel rail from STM Tune. Shout out to you guys. Also came with injector O-rings as well too, and an Allen plug. Plug in that bad boy. So that's where the fuel pressure gauge, or the fuel gauge, reads from. So right there. Also I got some AEM stickers. Sweet. So I got my old stock injectors that we're gonna be using to put on Jalen's car. So we're gonna be replacing the injectors, O-ring gaskets on here. We're also gonna be replacing the spark plug as well. I do have oil filter and gonna be running Mobil 1 10W30. What I wanted to do before we put engine oil, I want to go ahead and remove the valve cover, take a look at the camshaft, all the good stuff on the top there. I'm actually curious. Glenn did tell me that there is some aftermarket camshaft on top on this engine. I think was a HKS. So also I wanted to pour oil on top of the camshaft before we go ahead and turn the engine over. That way everything else is all lube. You know, bugger's bone dry as a bone. Yep. So yeah, let's go ahead and get it knocked out. We're losing a little bit of sunlight right now, so yeah, let's go ahead and bang it out. Put the AEM fuel rail, injectors, spark plugs, remove the valve cover, check the camshaft and whatnot, put engine oil on top, and then I think we should be good. So we got the new AEM Fuel Rail on the car, guys. It looks really freaking good. Damn, my wife is getting the better fuel setup than I am. Jeez, man, that looks really good. Unfortunately, we gotta stop at this point. I kind of spaced out on getting an O-ring gasket for the fuel pressure regulator, and also on the believe that's the feed side, but that one has an O-ring gasket, so I want to go ahead and get new O-ring gasket before we can go ahead and get the car started up. So therefore, we are gonna just stop. Tomorrow we can go ahead and just replace the spark plugs, remove the valve cover, check all the camshaft and whatnot, all the good stuff, put the engine oil, do an oil change, look over everything else one more time, and then we can probably we can start the car from there. We made a progress. It may not be a lot though, but it is a lot. The fuel tank, that was a big job right there, just kind of wrestling. Shout out to my wife to help me out, because I was having the hardest time, you know, just arming that on top back on the car. So that was really helpful. You know, like I said, it sucks working on cars on the ground. It would be much more better if, you know, when I have a lift. But one day for sure, hopefully, you know, I can get a lift on my own. That way we can start working on cars on the air, not on the ground though. I hope you guys enjoy the video here, guys. We're almost close to starting up the Evo. I'm so excited. My wife is excited. She can't wait. Man, I can't wait to hear how this car sounds. Literally, I'm so excited. Oh, we're so close. We're really close. So trust the process. Patience is key. We're gonna get there. We're really gonna get there. So just stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you guys think about the whole process on the Evo 8. If you guys want to purchase any of the parts that we got for Jalen's car, I'll have a link on the bottom in the description box below, so you guys can go ahead and purchase it. But therefore, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, guys. Aloha, and I'll see you guys on the next one.